Cassie has just dropped bombshell evidence against Diddy, and the courtroom is in complete chaos. Sources inside the courtroom describe an atmosphere of pure shock as lawyers scramble to make sense of the newly presented evidence. This unexpected move has completely shifted the direction of the case, leaving Diddy and his legal team struggling to respond. Witnesses say Diddy looked visibly shaken as the evidence was unveiled, his usual confident demeanor nowhere to be seen. This latest twist comes after months of legal battles, heated exchanges, and shocking allegations.
The singer Cassie says the incidents occurred throughout her 10-year relationship with Combs. Her suit was filed under a law that allows alleged sexual offense victims to file past the statute of limitations. Cassie says she wanted to speak out before that law expires next week. Mr. Combs has denied all the allegations. For more, let's bring in entertainment attorney Dante Mills. So, Dante, thanks for being with us. Cassie has signed with that label when she was just 19, and Sean Combs was 37. What's alleged to have happened after that?
Thank you for having me, Catherine. So in this lawsuit, I just wanted to be clear. This is a civil lawsuit. This is not a criminal lawsuit. There's no chance here as we stand for Sean Combs to go to jail. It's a civil lawsuit about money. And the claim is that during their relationship, he was physically abusive, that he required or demanded that she perform certain sexual acts with other people while he was there.
Cassie, who has been at the center of a storm of accusations against Diddy, has now presented what legal experts are calling game-changing proof. While exact details of the evidence have yet to be fully disclosed, insiders claim it could be damning enough to turn the entire case against Diddy. Reports suggest the evidence includes never-before-seen messages, financial records, and possibly even recorded conversations that could expose hidden truths about their past relationship.
He, in fact, raped her shortly before she left him. She said she did not want to have sexual relations with him, and he forced himself on her. That's the basis of this lawsuit and why it's moving forward. Now, you are right to talk about the fact that this lawsuit was brought in New York because these things happened years ago. So the statute of limitations is gone most places, but in New York, they had this law where they opened it up for a year and said, if you're a survivor of sexual assault, you have a year to bring your claim, and that expires next week, November 23rd of this year.
Okay, so you've handled several high-profile cases. What would your defense strategy look like?
Absolutely. I have a lot of high-profile clients, and the first thing that comes to mind when we get these lawsuits in, not just of this nature, but any of them, is that the people are about money. This is a civil lawsuit, and at the end of the day, Cassie would receive money if she wins.
According to insider sources, the new evidence includes emails, text messages, and audio recordings that directly implicate Diddy in the allegations against him. The evidence, which was presented in court earlier today, reportedly reveals shocking details about Diddy's behavior and the extent of his alleged misconduct. As the evidence was presented, the courtroom erupted into chaos, with Diddy's lawyers frantically trying to discredit the claims and Cassie's team standing firm. The judge was forced to call a recess to restore order.
So Cassie's legal team, how are they going to handle questions about why she stayed in the relationship as long as she did and then waited so long to report the allegations?
Absolutely. That's a tough issue because when you're in a relationship for that long, sometimes things build up where you go in and you're being wined and dined and everything is good, and gradually things get worse. So if I'm on her team as her attorney, I'm making it clear that that's what happened here, that the relationship started out good, but gradually it got worse and worse to the point that she was caught in this vicious cycle. She was caught under his thumb and almost didn't even realize it until she got out of there and some years went by. And then she began to process and heal and say, I went through things that I did not agree with and that should not have happened to me. That's what her side would be saying. If I'm on Sean Combs' side, I'm saying that none of this came up while they were in a relationship.
The courtroom erupted the moment Cassie's legal team revealed the evidence. Prosecutors immediately seized on the moment, calling it the missing piece that could prove their case beyond a shadow of a doubt. Diddy's lawyers, caught off guard, were seen frantically whispering and flipping through documents, clearly unprepared for this shocking turn of events. One legal expert described the moment as a checkmate move that could leave Diddy with no way out. Social media has exploded with reactions to the news, with hashtags like Cassie vs. Diddy and explosive evidence trending worldwide.
Myla Morales. She's a former makeup artist for Diddy and also Cassie Ventura, working for Diddy for years and eventually becoming a friend of Cassie's. In 2010, Myla alleges that she heard Cassie being physically abused and was a witness to the aftermath of the alleged attack. She joins me now. Myla, thank you so much for being here. This has been, for so many people, illuminating, infuriating, troubling, devastating. You can go down the list of things, but it's so difficult to speak about.
I know.
Being a witness of anything. Tell me how you must be feeling just knowing that this has even come to light.
Well, I have kept this secret for like 14 years. I mean, the first time I experienced it was 2010.
Fans of Cassie are praising her bravery for coming forward with the evidence, while critics of Diddy are calling it a smoking gun that could finally bring justice to his accusers. The revelations have reignited debates about Diddy's innocence or guilt, with many questioning how this new evidence will impact the outcome of the case. For months, Diddy has maintained his innocence, denying all accusations and insisting that the allegations against him are nothing more than an orchestrated attack. His legal team has fought hard to discredit witnesses, question timelines, and poke holes in Cassie's claims.
I was in the hotel room when Puff came in, and I had no idea Cassie left. And when I woke up, I just saw his presence come into the room. They went into the bedroom and shut the door, and all I could hear is screaming and yelling and whatever was going on in there, I don't know. But all I could think of was to grab Cassie's things and start packing it up and just getting her out to safety and bringing her to my house. So that's kind of like what transpired from that night. And once she came out of the room, she was badly, beaten.
Oh my God, what did her physical appearance look like?
I mean, it was knots on her head, black eye.
But with this new evidence on the table, their strategy may be falling apart. If this evidence is as strong as sources claim, Diddy's legal battle just went from difficult to nearly impossible. Let's take a closer look at how this story unfolded. Cassie, whose real name is Cassandra Ventura, filed a lawsuit against Diddy earlier this year, accusing him of harassment, manipulation, and abuse during their relationship. The case has been one of the most closely watched legal battles in recent memory, with both sides presenting compelling arguments.
You go to the police at that point or anything?
No, we didn't know what to do at that point because, Puffy is a very powerful person and we were quite terrified. So I just, brought her to my house, and my friend, who is a doctor, I called her, and thank God she was in town because we didn't know what to do. And she treated her for, just to make sure she didn't have a concussion or anything like that. But it was really it was painful to see Cassie like that because she's such a beautiful human being, and for a man to just hurt any sort of woman or child or animal, it doesn't matter. But Cass is a good friend of mine, and I just felt, I just didn't know what to do. I felt like, I don't even know how to describe how I felt that night.
Diddy has consistently denied the allegations, calling them false and defamatory. But the new evidence presented by Cassie has cast serious doubt on his claims. Social media is exploding with reactions to the courtroom chaos. Fans, critics, and legal analysts alike are weighing in, with some calling this the beginning of the end for Diddy. Others believe this latest move is just another strategic play in a high-stakes battle that's far from over. Regardless of where people stand, one thing is clear.
Remember, the trial starts first week in May. I believe May 5th.
If it starts then.
If it starts then. And if she is on the stand, as we expect her to be, she is victim number one in the indictment.
She's going to be the star witness.
That she's the star witness. Now you have the star witness pregnant on the stand. That is That is a.
Well, you know what it is.
I mean, the sympathy.
You know what it is. We can go back a few segments here, and it's kind of the Rihanna effect in the courtroom. And they're going to look at this woman who is pregnant, engaged, and it's kind of, trying to juxtapose these two images. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, that's the subliminal difficulty that Diddy's going to have.
The part they're not going to be able to escape is when they play the
video of her being dragged
beating
out of,
video.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. But that's what they're going to argue.
That's going to be the game going
sure.
back and forth. Speaking of the freak-offs, Diddy has a defense for that. And
this case has just taken a dramatic and unexpected turn. The evidence, which was reportedly obtained through a combination of legal discovery and private investigations, includes emails and text messages that appear to show Diddy discussing inappropriate behavior with associates. Audio recordings also reveal conversations that allegedly support Cassie's claims of manipulation and control. Legal experts are calling the evidence a game changer, suggesting that it could lead to a conviction if admitted in court. The judge overseeing the case has yet to rule on the admissibility of the evidence, but the damage to Diddy's public image may already be irreversible.
In fact, in the documents, he says, we've seen it play out this way for decades. He says they did it to Chuck Berry, they did it to the boxer Jack Johnson, using this Mann Act, and now they're trying to do it to me when all I'm doing is leading my life the way lots of people do, and they're never prosecuted for it, particularly when they're white.
And in our documentary, The Downfall of Diddy, which is on Tubi, we talked to Mark Agnifilo, Diddy's lawyer, who said racism was a core part of the defense.
Right. Well, will this be successful? I mean, essentially, Diddy's team is saying they're kind of admitting that he committed that he did have sex workers.
Yeah, not necessarily. It's
that he did hire sex workers who came to his parties, and that's just how he gets down. And why should he be prosecuted for that?
Meanwhile, sources close to Diddy say he is furious over this development. Some reports claim he feels betrayed, blindsided, and even set up. There are even rumors that he is now considering drastic legal countermeasures to fight back. But the question remains, does he even have a way out? Or is this the evidence that seals his fate? Friends and associates of Cassie have been quick to express their support, calling her a courageous survivor who is finally standing up for herself.
Count 3 actually alleges sex trafficking involving 3 female victims in addition to the male escorts. So I believe there's a great disparity in the characterization of the case just within the motion they're filing and the indictment as it's filed. Now, it is true that the Mann Act does have a racial history. It was used many years ago to target African Americans who were engaging in what might be called immoral conduct, according to the Times. But that statute was amended several times. It removed the immoral purposes and it removed some other language and now restricts application of the statute to conduct involving sex trafficking and transportation related to criminal conduct. So the only way the statute can be charged now is if it's alleged that somebody committed a crime. And again, I think the indictment alleges more conduct than what is addressed in the defense motion.
They argue that the evidence is credible and could have a significant impact on the outcome of the case. However, Diddy's legal team is fighting back, calling the evidence fabricated and taken out of context. They insist that Diddy is the victim of a smear campaign designed to tarnish his reputation and legacy. The stakes couldn't be higher. If this evidence holds up in court, Diddy could be facing not only reputational ruin, but also severe legal consequences.
Text messages are being made public in the sex trafficking case against Sean Diddy Combs. The texts were revealed on September 18th while Diddy was in federal court to appeal his denial of pretrial release following his arrest and indictment earlier this week for sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He has pleaded not guilty to all the charges. During his bail appeal, NBC reporters inside the courtroom report that Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson read out loud the texts that Diddy reportedly sent to Cassie Ventura after an altercation in a hotel in 2016. She references security video of the event that went public, showing Diddy hitting his then-girlfriend in a hotel hallway. The text from Diddy at the time read, quote, "Call me, the cops are here. I got 6 kids. Yo, please call, I'm surrounded. You gonna abandon me all alone?" The assistant U.S. attorney argues in court that, quote, the defendant knew he had done something that could elicit police response.
Prosecutors are already discussing potential next steps, with some insiders suggesting that this new evidence could lead to additional charges or even a fast-tracked conviction. This isn't just a story about Cassie and Diddy. It's about the broader issues of power and accountability in the entertainment industry. The explosive evidence has sparked important conversations about how victims of abuse are treated and whether the legal system is equipped to uncover the truth. Some are calling for reforms to ensure that all evidence is thoroughly reviewed, while others argue that Diddy's situation is a consequence of his alleged actions.
She stated that if the music producer were freed from jail, it may prevent witnesses from testifying against him, and denied his bail a second time. E! News has reached out to reps for Cassie and Diddy for comment and has not yet heard back. The texts were brought up in relation to the federal indictment against the music mogul, which alleges that, quote, for decades, Diddy abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnafilo, who says his client is, quote, innocent and has nothing to hide, has shared insight into Diddy's current condition. He's not a perfect person. There has been drug use. He has been in toxic relationships, he told the court, according to NBC News, adding that Diddy is receiving treatment and therapy for things that he needs treatment and therapy for. Diddy is due back in court October 9th.
Cassie's legal team, on the other hand, is standing firm, claiming that the truth is finally coming to light. In their latest statement, they made it clear that they believe justice is within reach, and that no amount of money, power, or influence will be able to shield Diddy from accountability. And it's not just the courtroom that's reacting. Industry insiders are now beginning to distance themselves from Diddy, with some former collaborators deleting past social media posts and others refusing to comment on the scandal.
The government's proof to particulars furnished and therefore can restrict unduly the government's ability to present its case. Basically, if we give you that bill of particulars right now, then we might be just limiting to just what's in that filing, which could hamper our case down the road, especially if we're continuing to investigate what's going on. The prosecution says courts routinely reject requests for victim identities in cases involving crimes of violence and racketeering, especially when the government demonstrates a risk to witness safety, the potential for witness intimidation, or subordination of perjury. Courts also routinely deny requests for bill of particulars containing victims' names on the basis that these requests are in reality a backdoor attempt to obtain a list of the witnesses whom the government intends to call at trial. But notwithstanding the defendant's procedural failure, the motion also fails on the merits because there's no need for a bill of particulars listing victim names here. The defendant has been more than sufficiently apprised of the nature of the charges he faces based on, inter alia, the 14-page speaking indictment.
The ripple effects of this legal battle are beginning to be felt far beyond the courtroom, with brands and corporate partners reconsidering their associations with the once iconic mogul. Some reports even suggest that certain high-profile friends of Diddy have stopped communicating with him altogether, afraid of being dragged into the controversy. As the case continues to unfold, one question looms large. What's next for Diddy? Will the explosive evidence lead to a conviction, or will his legal team find a way to discredit it?
As witnesses in the Enterprise letter. And at the time of this recording, neither the prosecution nor the judge have responded to the defense's request. But that is not the only important filing submitted this week. No, because the defense and the prosecution jointly submitted an addendum to a protective order involving alleged sex tapes that the prosecution obtained of Combs. Now, the accusation is that there's some sort of malfeasance demonstrated in these videos, some type of coercion or intimidation, or proof that Combs may have been involved in the hiring of commercial sex workers or engaging in sex trafficking. Now, the defense had requested that the tapes be turned over to them. Now, the judge denied that request, denied the defense the ability to get copies of these tapes, but it was made clear that the defense, if they want to see it, they will be given proper access to it when they need to. But this week's filing is important because this week's filing reads, quote, whereas on January 14th, 2025,
And how will Cassie move forward from this emotional ordeal? For now, all eyes are on the courtroom as the world waits to see how this story will unfold. The leaked evidence has also led to a resurgence of past allegations against Diddy, with more people stepping forward to share their experiences. Legal experts say that if the evidence Cassie presented includes proof of a pattern of behavior, it could open the door for further lawsuits and criminal charges. The potential fallout from this case is massive.
It lays out how the attorneys will actually handle this highly sensitive material. It reads, the footnote 3 material will be produced via 2 encrypted hard drives to Teni Garagos, who will have sole custody of the drives, which will be stored in a secure location at the Agnifilo in Trader LLP office. So Teni Garagos is one of the attorneys representing Sean Combs alongside Mark Agnifilo. It goes on to say, quote, the footnote 3 material will not be viewed on or copied to a computer that connects to the internet, seemingly as a way to make sure it's not disseminated. The password to the encrypted drives will be provided by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York solely to Teni Garagos. The defendant's retained audio and visual enhancement expert may be provided one of the 2 encrypted drives. Teni Garagos may share the password to the drive only with the AV expert. The AV expert may attempt to enhance the audio or visual quality of the footnote 3 material and to independently review and analyze its metadata.
And it seems like the walls are closing in on Diddy faster than anyone could have predicted. As more details come to light, the legal battle is only expected to intensify. Insiders claim that Diddy's legal team is scrambling behind the scenes, exploring every possible option to discredit the new evidence or file an emergency motion to have it dismissed. However, given the courtroom's reaction and the strength of the case, most analysts believe it will be difficult, if not impossible, to undo the damage.
So one of those filings, or fake filings, is from back in December. And in it, a person alleging to be Sean Combs seemingly admits to raping Cardello Smith and admits to pinning other rape cases on Cardello Smith and promises to pay the inmate $35 million. Wow, I can't believe that Sean Combs would admit to all this. My gosh. Well, I want to take a look at this document that was put together by Cardello Smith, which the defense says is complete nonsense. Remember, this is supposed to be in Sean Combs' voice. It reads, I agree to the settlement offered to this plaintiff in the original amount of $35 million, and the only reason I am disclosing it is because plaintiff wanted it made public in order for me to not fight the case anymore and to remove any hint of denial of plaintiff's claim of sexual assault I did upon him and other measures that have been discussed throughout previous meetings at the facilities over the years.
Meanwhile, Cassie has remained relatively quiet outside of court, letting her legal team do the talking. But sources say she is more determined than ever to see this case through to the end, refusing to back down despite the immense pressure and public scrutiny. With each new revelation, it becomes increasingly clear that this case is not just about legal consequences. It's about uncovering long-buried truths and holding powerful figures accountable. So what happens next?
So Cardello Smith, as I mentioned, he's currently locked up, and he's locked up for sex crimes. He insists, though, that he's innocent, that the police set him up. He was convicted of 2 counts of third-degree sexual conduct in 1998, was eventually paroled. But when he got out, prosecutors say he committed more sexual offenses because he was convicted in 2008 on 6 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct and 2 counts of kidnapping. He ended up entering a plea of no contest in that case. And then in 2019, he was convicted again of 4 counts of first-degree sexual misconduct. So this alleged Diddy stipulation continues. Again, it's in all caps. And by the way, if this was really Sean Combs' writings, it appears like it's all handwritten. If Combs really did agree to this and write this, wouldn't it have been in the proper format and proper form? I don't know, something to think about. But
will Diddy's lawyers find a way to counter this explosive revelation? Or is this the moment that brings his empire crashing down? The courtroom drama is far from over. And with each new twist, the tension only grows. Stay tuned as more details emerge because this case is shaping up to be one of the most shocking legal battles in entertainment history. The world is watching, and as the evidence unfolds, the truth about Diddy's past will finally be revealed. And the fallout continues to spread beyond the courtroom.
To the hospital at this time of night for something as basic as an MRI.
Oh, that's interesting that this is the first time you've ever seen anything like this. because there have been high-profile inmates at MDC in the past, maybe not to the level of P. Diddy. You had a lot of answers in that one answer, so many different roads I could go down. And I agree with you 100%. People would want that photo. We would be talking about that photo today if for some reason we got it. So that's a super valid point. I wanted to go back to the very beginning though, because how does all of this start? Does P. Diddy go to one of the corrections officers and say, hey, my knee's really bothering me, I'm not feeling well? Would he go to an infirmary on site? What would the early process look like?
So again, after that initial review of his current medical situation during his physical, and then there's follow-up to that process if there's something found, immediately.
Reports are emerging that Diddy's empire is already starting to crumble. Sources inside his business ventures claim investors and partners are reconsidering their commitments, worried about the potential financial and reputational damage. Some sources even suggest that longtime associates are cutting ties, unwilling to risk their own brands in the wake of this scandal. Meanwhile, Cassie's legal team is not backing down. Insiders reveal that they have even more evidence that has yet to be presented in court. If what they are holding back is as damaging as today's bombshell, Diddy's situation could go from dire to catastrophic.
Before transporting Diddy to court, which we've seen him there several times, at least the sketches. Our reporter there has seen him in real life, but we've seen the sketches. As far as this goes, though, with him going to the hospital, is it different? Would he be in his jumpsuit? Would he have cuffs? Would there be somebody with him at all times, even when he's in the MRI? What would that look like?
What would happen, he would definitely go out in his institutional jumpsuit. He would be handcuffed, leg irons, and what we call a Martin chain, which is the waist, the chains around your waist, handcuffs, and then what we call a black box. That would be a little mechanism that would go over the handcuffs to make sure that, he is not moving around necessarily. And I'm almost certain that they probably had 3 or 4 staff with him. And even possibly someone in a different vehicle, what we call a chase vehicle, just to make sure that, everything is secure.
Some legal analysts believe Cassie's team is strategically waiting for the right moment to unleash more evidence, ensuring that every move they make keeps Diddy's defense team on their heels. And let's not forget about the potential criminal implications. Prosecutors are now reevaluating past allegations and considering whether new charges could be brought based on the latest revelations. The deeper they dig, the worse it could get for Diddy. This isn't just about one case anymore. This could open Pandora's box for legal actions that span years of alleged misconduct.
We live in a world where anyone can file a lawsuit for any reason. Fortunately, a fair and impartial judicial process exists to find the truth, and Mr. Combs is confident he will prevail in court, end quote. And in response to the docu-series, his attorneys told The Hollywood Reporter, these documentaries are rushing to cash in on the media circus surrounding Mr. Combs. The producers failed to provide sufficient times or details for his representatives to address unsubstantiated claims, many from unidentified participants whose allegations lack context. By withholding this information, they made it impossible for Mr. Combs to present facts to counter these fabricated accusations. This production is clearly intended to present a one-sided and prejudicial narrative. As we said before, Mr. Combs cannot respond to every publicity stunt or facially ridiculous claim. He has full confidence in the facts and the judicial process where the truth will prevail. The accusations against him are pure fiction. So many documentaries out now about Sean Combs, aka Diddy, and with so many new documentaries, now there's new accusations.
The question remains, can Diddy survive this legal storm? Or is this the final chapter in a career that once seemed untouchable? One thing is certain, this battle is far from over. And with each new revelation, the truth becomes harder to ignore. As more details emerge, we'll be following this story closely. The courtroom showdown is only beginning, and the stakes have never been higher. Stay tuned for the latest updates as this shocking case continues to unfold.